Clock. Start the meeting. First order of business is closed meeting. Be it resolved, the Montgomery County Board of Supervisors of Montgomery County, Virginia hereby enters into closed meeting for the purpose of discussing the following. Section 2.2-3711, Paragraph 1, discussion, consideration, or interviews of prospective candidates for employment, assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, disciplining, or resignation of specific officers, appointees, or employees of any public body, the Economic Development Authority. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Secretary, if you call a roll.
Ms. Blevins?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Ms. Bone?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Mr. Motts?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Chair Jakowski?
Aye.
7 ayes.
We're now in closed session. Motion to come out of closed session.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Secretary?
Mr. King?
Aye.
Ms. Bone?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Mr. Motts?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Ms. Blevins?
Aye.
Chair Fitchikowski?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Next, we have certification of the closed meeting. Whereas the Board of Supervisors of Montgomery County has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and whereas Section 2.2-3711 of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the Board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Supervisors of Montgomery County, Virginia hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, one, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting to which this certification resolution applies, and two, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion conveying the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered by the Board. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Secretary.
Ms. Bone?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Mr. Motts?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Ms. Blevins?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Chair Fitchikowski?
Aye.
7 ayes.
All right, next we have our invocation and pledge, and we'll lean on our county administrator.
If we could rise for a moment of silence, and then I'll lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Let us pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much.
Okay, under presentations, recognitions, and awards, we have a presentation for Deputy County Administrator Carol Edmonds. If you would, please, ma'am, come up in front of the podium.
Read your mask.
Let me know if you need help holding that thing, because it's big.
I was hoping that you might have a smaller one to
Read, yeah,
read from, but
yeah. That's what you said.
6 feet. At a regular meeting of the Board of Supervisors of the County of Montgomery, Virginia, held on the 10th day of November, 2020 at 6:45 p.m. in the Board Chambers, Montgomery County Government Center, 755 Roanoke Street, Christiansburg, Virginia, resolution of recognition to L. Carol Edmonds. Whereas L. Carol Edmonds has served in the public sector for 42 years, and while working alongside 4 county administrators, served the citizens of Montgomery County from 1994 to 2020 as the Director of Financial and Management Services, Assistant County Administrator, Interim County Administrator from March 2009 through August of 2009, and most recently as Deputy County Administrator since 2012, a role from which she will retire on December 31st, 2020. And whereas Carol is a problem solver, instinctively visualizing the big picture in order to build and strengthen the future of Montgomery County, and whereas Carol is a committed financial steward, building Montgomery County's financial strength, establishing strong financial reserves, achieving a bond rating of AA+ for the county, developing 26 county operating budgets, creating the first county capital budget in 1996, and providing leadership for 7 county reassessments. And whereas Carol is a devoted advocate for county employees and oversaw the creation and implementation of a comprehensive countywide compensation and classification system, and was instrumental in maintaining and regularly updating the compensation and classification plan. And whereas Carol facilitated the county's first fully integrated financial information management system, resulting in a key collaborative effort, streamlined processes, and newfound efficiency between the Treasurer, Commissioner of Revenue, and Finance Department. And whereas Carol is an avid animal lover, dedicating more than 20 years toward the inception and completion of the Animal Care and Adoption Center, ushering in a new era, transforming the animal care landscape in Montgomery County, and leading the Board of Supervisors and county staff to recognize her leadership by dedicating a portion of the facility as Carol Edmonds Adoption Area. And whereas Carol was instrumental in creating several regional efforts as a result of her strong values of collaboration and efficiency, including the New River Valley Emergency Communications Regional Authority with the towns of Blacksburg and Christiansburg, Montgomery County, and the Virginia Tech, the Western Virginia Regional Jail Authority with the counties of Franklin, Montgomery, and Roanoke, and the city of Salem, the Fire and Rescue Commission with all Montgomery County volunteer fire departments and rescue squads, and initiated a regional conversation surrounding a regional trail initiative, all of which have increased efficiency for each locality and greatly expanded and improved services to citizens throughout the region. And whereas Carol is a respected and resourceful leader, creating a management team of department heads, implementing an innovative strategy technology plan, creating the first public information office, and creating the county's human resources department. And whereas Carol has helped initiate numerous construction projects, including the renovation of the former Imperial Reading Factory building to serve as the Montgomery County Government Center, the courthouse renovation of the former courthouse to the new Public Safety Building, the Animal Care and Adoption Center, the Western Virginia Regional Jail Facility, the Meadowbrook Library renovation, 10 new school facilities, 6 fire and rescue facilities, and 5 new recreational parks. And whereas Carol has represented Montgomery County on many boards and commissions, such as the Fairview Home Board, Inc., Board of Directors, Fairview Home District Board, Western Virginia Regional Jail Authority, Juvenile Detention Commission, Community Policy and Management Team, New River Valley Home Consortium, Greater Montgomery County Liaison Group, County School Liaison Group, and the New River Valley Emergency Communications Regional Authority. And whereas Carol's lasting legacy to the Montgomery County citizens, employees, and the region as a whole leads the members of this body to recognize her decades of service marked by unprecedented loyalty and dedication to the best interests of our community, earning the admiration and high esteem of the board. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Supervisors of Montgomery County, Virginia, that the Board of Supervisors extends a unanimous vote of appreciation and gratitude to L. Carol Edmonds for her outstanding public service and dedication, with best wishes for continued success in all her future endeavors. Be it further resolved that the original of this resolution be presented to L. Carol Edmonds as a testimonial of the high esteem and appreciation in which she is regarded by the Board of Supervisors, and that a copy be a part of the official minutes of Montgomery County. This is where we cheer. Here you go. It's all yours. Now, your turn.
I'm going to have to take this mask off in order to be able to talk, so let me see if I can get over here and turn around. It's been a privilege to serve in Montgomery County for 26 years. It's where I grew up. I left once, but then knew enough to come back, so I've been here for quite a while. It is a place where it feels like home. The county itself is somewhere where I've made friends, still have friends, lost friends, and intend to be a part of the county as going forward. I'm not exactly certain what that role might be. It could be the lady that shows up for 4 minutes at public address at the budget hearing to talk about her tax rate being too high. Or it could be a volunteer at the Animal Care and Adoption Center. Kind of looking forward to doing some of that. But I want to thank this board and the previous sitting board for the Animal Care and Adoption Center. It is truly a dream and a vision that was just such a privilege to see it come to fruition. I also want to thank this board and the previous board, and in particular, Mary Biggs and Craig Meadows and Chris Tuck for making sure that my name was presented in the facility that I care so much about. Again, thank you. I'm not going to be able to make it much longer, but again, it's an honor and a privilege, and I thank you so much for this resolution and for all your support as I've been here. There are some people in this room who have been with me through almost this entire journey. Vicki Swinney's one of them. Mary Biggs is another. Marty McMahon, and your new Assistant County Administrator, Chief Financial Officer, Angie Hill, who has been here for 23 years. So, again, it's been an honor and a privilege, and I thank you so much.
Thank you, Carol. And if you have nothing to do, if you read that resolution, that ought to take the wind out of you. It did me.
No wonder I'm so tired.
Really good. Okay, next item up is our public address. Some of the rules that we have for public address are you get 4 minutes. When you come up, you need to speak your name and your address. And if you'll watch the lights on the podium there, they'll help you keep within your time. We do have 4 people that are signed up for the public address. So I will call the first one. I'm not sure if it's John or Jan Hilton. John, okay.
Good evening to each of you. Thank you. My purpose of being here tonight is to just address some concerns that I have regarding the project for Verizon monopole to be constructed just off of Union Valley Road, not far from where I reside on Surface Road. And my address is 3710 Surface Road. I've spoken with Todd King a couple of times. I've emailed him as well. I believe he entered my email in the public record at one of the last meetings. And I have drawn up a petition related to this particular project. So if I could just describe the purpose behind the petition and kind of what that's for.
Sir, could I get you just to swing that microphone around to you?
A little bit better?
That's better, thank you.
Most of the individuals that I spoke with regarding the project and their responses related to increased telecommunications within the area was positive. They understand that that could be a benefit to Reiner, to our community there. I think the concern that we have at Surface Road, and a number of people, as you'll see on the petition, and I don't know if I need to hand that off or not, is the altered view, the altered landscape, and especially the skyline view from where many of us live behind the wood line at the end of Surface Road. It pushes off into a wood line. It's a very beautiful wood line. It's part of the reason many of us moved to that location. We have a fear that this tower, it's going to be approximately 200 feet, 195, I think, plus a lightning rod, will cascade above the tree line and potentially alter our view. again. The other concern that we have is that if that is the case for us and for others up and down Union Valley Road that I've spoken to, is it could potentially affect property values. You know, individuals seeking to relocate to the area or seeking to sell their home, especially if you're living closer to where the projected tower would be, you're going to be directly across from the tower, and especially on Union Valley Road, and you would be able to see the entire tower. You can find different opinions online, different research done related to how these type of projects can affect property value, but it is something that is a concern. Another concern I wanted to address as well with the time I have left is I feel that there was a little bit of a lack of adequate notice to most of the people that live within a certain distance of the project. I guess by law or county standards, that the individuals that needed to be notified were those that had land tracts touching the land where the particular project is going to occur. I received a letter, there's a few others that received a letter, but some of my neighbors to the right, to the left of me, they did not receive a letter other than me notifying them of what I had received. Most of the people up and down Union Valley Road who are going to be closest to the tower received no letter and no notification until I showed up at their door asking whether they had received notification and expressing my concerns. So I spoke with many people. I left, drew up a petition, came back, asked them if they had changed their mind, if they were still concerned, and every one of the individuals that I spoke with, other than a couple, did decide to sign the petition. So I know in the policy and the processes and procedures for special use permits, there is a process that it describes there, and then the particular applicant, I guess, which would be Verizon. I gotta stop. 30 more seconds?
You can finish your sentence.
Okay.
We had you adjust the mic, so I think that's only
Oh,
fair.
okay, that sounds good. That there's an initial meeting, the applicant meets with the county to discuss the particular project, and there's several other steps below that before it gets to a point where I guess a letter is sent out to certain community members.
Okay.
My concern is if that meeting occurred, it had to have occurred many months ago. And according to, when you go to the link to the county website, there's lots of dates dating back to the summer and even before where this process was underway. But I received my letter at the middle of October.
Okay.
So, and others didn't receive a letter at all, so.
All right. Thank you, sir. Mr. Hilton, if you want to give your petition to the board secretary over there, she can get us copies.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, next person up is Barry Coffey. If you'll come up, state your name and address. You have 4 minutes.
I had to leave my mask on.
You can take it off once you get up to the podium. Yeah.
Thank you for being clear. My name is Barry Coffey. I live on 3705 Surface Road, and I'm here in relation to the special use permit application as well for the Verizon Tower. Just 3 things that I'd like to say, put forward, and that is that in the application, I never noticed an RF coverage proof document, which is a radio frequency coverage document saying that there is a lack of coverage and therefore a legitimate need for the tower. Unless I'm mistaken, I never saw that proof there. Secondly, obviously there are existing towers now within range which Verizon is using, and we are Verizon subscribers. Unless there's some undue hardship that Verizon is going to experience by renewing a lease of some sort, they're building a tower that is a single-use tower. In other words, they're the only ones that are lined up to be able to use that tower. There's 2 antennas per sector that are allowed on these towers, and normally there are more than one provider that is able to access or lease from the tower, but this tower is simply for Verizon. So my third point is this, that if the tower is simply for Verizon, would it be possible, or could we propose that we request that they build a lower tower. So right now, it's within regulations to come within 200 feet. Could they build a tower that's 125 feet? It would obviously provide a little less coverage for them in the area, but it would be less of a distraction visually for the people on our street and the people who back up to it. There must be a tower nearby which is not visible, which gives us adequate coverage at this particular point. If we did a lower tower, it would still boost their productivity but not be as visible. And so what I'm asking is that if it's possible to have the lower tower considered instead of doing the maximum, which is the 200. And that's what I would like to see. If there are other instances, for instance, if they're trying to boost things at the Auburn Elementary School or the Auburn school system over there, would they be able to use the small cells on poles, for instance, which they do in focused areas? So for instance, if my son is an EMS driver as well, and if they're looking to boost connectivity, small cell capability is available to be able to put on poles and different devices like that, which are smaller and less visible, but they still boost coverage in particular areas. So there seems to be other ways around this, and I think the discussion is a valid one. I think the concerns we have for one looming tower is excessive because they're going, to the maximum there, and a lower tower probably would be a viable consideration. So those are the concerns that I have. I have a small letter, since the bell hasn't gone off. I have a small note from another resident on our street. She says, I'm a 20-year resident of Reiner, Virginia, and moved to Reiner because I was attracted to the rural, cultural, and beautiful scenery of the area. It is a pastoral county in every season of the year. I'm opposed to the placement of the tower. It will be in view from our property on Surface Road, and it will destroy the uncluttered view which we have had for 20 years. I'm also concerned about the safety factors of the tower and so forth. Yours truly, that was addressed to whom it may concern. So I think if, as John said, if there had been adequate notice, I think there would be more objection to the tower. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next person up will be Will Norwal. Sorry. If you would, just come up, state your name and address, and you have 4 minutes.
Hi, my name is Will Noel. I live on 3730 Surface Road. I'm one of the ones that did not get a letter. Although I am a neighbor of John's and I actually have a better sight line of the forest, I was never aware of this until he knocked on my door about a week and a half ago. I'm not going to be as eloquent as these guys because I haven't had time to produce it, all this stuff, but I got my little notes here. I've lived here for 16 years. I've lived all around the country. I was in the military, went all around the country. I've lived in Oklahoma, Washington State, New York, and I settled here. I settled here because I enjoy this area. It's a beautiful area. I look out on my back porch every day and I see this beautiful line. If a 200-foot tower comes in, now these trees are anywhere between, say, 80 feet high. 200-foot tower is going to be twice as big as these trees. It's going to be like a sore thumb or whatever finger you want to do sticking up out of that forest every day. I'm going to see that. That, to me, is one of the reasons why we moved here, is because of the beauty of the area. That's in jeopardy now. Construction time. One of the big things that I have also is construction. This thing's got to be built. As you all know, from building roads to building buildings or anything else, you're going to have big vehicles coming in. There's going to be noise. There's going to be wear and tear on the roads. There's going to be blockages. Truck tries to get in there, can't make it. There's blockages. Things are going to happen. Things are going to get muddy and trucks get stuck and other things are going to happen. So the construction time, the noise, the hassle of the large vehicles, that's a concern of mine also. We have a lot of smaller children in the area. I work from home. I do a lot of stuff where I'm in meetings all day. I can't have loud noises around, otherwise I can't be doing my meetings also. And one of the bigger things is property value. Most of us buy a house not only to own a house, but we hope that it's going to go up in value and not going to be a burden to us in 20, 30 years. Property values are going to go down in the vicinity of a tower like this. You can look on the web, you can find them whenever you're in the vicinity of a tower, they go down. This is why people are not also clamoring for these properties. If these were prime real estate properties that abut a big tower, everyone would want them. And the real estate rates would be through the roof. Whenever you see a tower, oh, let's go buy that property. They'd be through the roof. They're not. I'm going to end short, so they used up my time. That's good. I just have one question for you. If this was going up behind your house, would you say, all right? Or would you say, oh. And that's where we're at. We're just at that, we got this. This is our home. This is where we live. It's not just another site to put a tower. I have Verizon too. I use it. The only reason why we went with Verizon, we get signal there. We get good signal there. Never had a problem with them. But now seeing this 200-foot tower, I'm not saying that it's maybe it is necessary. I don't know, maybe over near Nolly Road. I don't know if you're familiar with the area, but Nolly Road is very rural. It's way out there. They might not get good signal. But between us and Nolly Road and a little bit further, there's a lot of spots there that are much more rural than we are. Further away from the people. We might need that tower, but maybe a different placement of the tower. Can we move it to a different area that's not going to affect neighborhoods, children, views of people, property values, stuff like that? All right, and that's all I have to say. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir. All right, next person up would be Lori Schweller. You'll come up and go ahead, state your name and address. You have 4 minutes.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm Lori Schweller, attorney with Williams Mullen, representing Verizon Wireless. I'd like to address some of the comments from your speakers tonight, but first I'd like to refer back to your November 23rd meeting and say that we agree with your speakers at that meeting that the only reason to build a new tower is because a new tower is needed to provide service in a given area. Verizon Wireless, as I've mentioned before, is not a cell tower builder. It is a wireless service provider, and it evaluates very carefully the needs of the area, in this case, Reiner and surrounding residential areas. This site is intended to connect to existing towers, one on 81 and one that you can see from the Hillcrest neighborhood to the south. It costs hundreds of thousands of dollars to develop a single cell tower, to develop and build, and Verizon only builds 20 to 30 per year in the Commonwealth. So it very carefully prioritizes these sites and has to make very careful decisions about where they are needed. Southwest Virginia and Central Virginia are the places that need the most upgrades to the existing network. We wouldn't bring this application to you if it weren't needed for existing customers and future customers based on customer complaints and radio frequency engineers' evaluations of the network. That said, as your county attorney noted last month, this is a land use hearing, and so we are here for you to exercise your legislative procedure, to evaluate special use permit criteria, and to consider this based on this property and this site. And that's what we're asking you to do tonight. We hope that we've provided you sufficient information for you to find that we are fully compliant with your zoning ordinance and your comprehensive plan. The reason that the 2018 legislative changes were made regarding wireless facilities is to make sure that we could have good wireless service throughout the Commonwealth. It is an essential utility. People get used to seeing electric power towers and electric lines and telephone poles, which we are actually surpassing now in terms of use. Similarly, RF coverage maps are no longer required, though we've tried very hard to explain how much this particular facility is needed for the Reiner area. We did reach out to the neighborhoods surrounding. We went to various real estate brokers, and I went to the SCC and to the Common Interest Community Board, trying to find the right people to contact for Hillcrest and other neighborhoods, and did do so. I reached out to all 3 of those neighborhoods, explaining the process, explaining this application and project, and asking, would you like to meet? Would your homeowners like to meet with us? There's no community meeting in the county, but we're happy to meet with you. This project is not just for Verizon Wireless. The monopole is of a height not only to connect to the existing wireless facilities in the network to provide that seamless coverage, but it's also intended to give the opportunity for co-locators, T-Mobile or Shentel or whoever wants to locate on that monopole. Visibility was evaluated by Ms. Jenkins during our balloon test, and she was very pleased with the results at that time, and we had no one reaching out to us with concerns at that time. Just quickly about construction. Construction is pretty quick. It's only a 4 to 6 week process, and because it is set back so far from the road, shouldn't cause disruption to the community in the surrounding area. I think that's all my comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We have no one else signed up for public address, but if there's anyone that would like to make a comment, they're welcome to come up, state their name, and they would have 4 minutes to speak. Seeing no one come forward, I'm going to go ahead and close public address.
You've got somebody to raise their hand.
I'm sorry? Are we allowed to speak a second time? No, sir, just the one time. All right, next up is addendum, and we do have addendum.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we do have an addendum this evening. Add to the consent agenda appointments to the Economic Development Authority for Mark Husband and Michael Miller.
Is there a motion to add this to the,
So move.
Second?
you got a motion and a second? Madam Secretary?
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Mr. Motts?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Ms. Blevins?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Ms. Bone?
Aye.
Chair Chakowski?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Next up is items of consent. Hopefully you all had an opportunity to look at all them. Is there a motion?
Motion. Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Madam Secretary, if you'll call the roll.
Mr. Motts?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Ms. Blevins?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Ms. Bone?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Chair Chakowski?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Next item under old business, ordinance, special use permit, Celco partnership, Verizon Wireless. Okay. All right, we've had a request for just a brief delay to allow Supervisor Todd to look at the list. So we're going to go ahead and take a 2-minute break. Would anybody on the board like to ask some questions of Ms. Gibson? Seeing no one, I guess not. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I would like to say a few words. I do appreciate everybody that contacted me. Like at our last month meeting, I asked to put this off till December. As I said, I've lived in 5 Points Road for over 30 years. I've seen it grow. And when I asked this board, and I do appreciate y'all allowing me to do that, to put this vote off, everyone that contacted me about this tower, I've told everybody. Majority rules. I mean, that's why I'm here. The majority rules. And I do appreciate everyone that contacted me. I've had people come to my house. I even had one gentleman come to my job. And I do understand when I talk to people and they tell me that they have to have a booster to get cell service. I've talked to Verizon, and it's my understanding that if this tower goes up, they can do away with their booster. I understand people's concern about the tower in their yard. But this tower also is in my yard. Like I said, I've lived there for over 30 years. I've seen Roanoke grow. And I do apologize. I cannot make everybody happy. But I have to move forward with the majority of the community. And I have talked to a lot of people. I've talked to people that live across the street from it. I've talked to people that hunts that property, that lives there. Right next to it, don't live on that property, but lives next to it. And I do understand everybody's concerns. Like I said, I live there, my property's there. I've talked to some realtors, and they have told me they don't think the property value will go down. But, you know, everybody has a different opinion. Different realtors have different opinions. But I do want everybody to understand, it was brought to my attention one time that, well, the board done decided what they was going to do anyway. I'm giving you my word, this board has not decided on this from the time that these people asked me about it. I can speak for myself, and I hope I can speak for the rest of them. That's not the way we do business. We listen to the citizens of Montgomery County. That's our job. And I do want to say one more thing. I do appreciate everybody that reached out to me. That's why I asked this board to put the vote off. And thank you very much for getting involved with our community. We need more people like you. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, if you call a roll.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Ms. Blevins?
Aye.
Ms. Bone?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Mr. Motts?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Chair Zakowski?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Next item up is new business. First is a memorandum of understanding, Peppers Ferry Regional Wastewater Treatment Authority.
So moved.
We have
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, if you'll call the roll.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Ms. Bone?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Mr. Motts?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Ms. Blevins?
Aye.
Chair Zakowski?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Next item up under new business is performance agreement with Torque Robotics Incorporated.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, if you call a roll.
Ms. Bone?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Mr. Motts?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Ms. Blevins?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Chair Zakowski?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Next item up under new business is extend the emergency paid sick leave under FMLA.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Madam Secretary, if you will call a roll.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Mr. Motts?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Ms. Blevins?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Ms. Bone?
Aye.
Chair Christiakowski?
Aye.
7 ayes.
And the last, but certainly not the least, so Tommy can get home to bed sometime tonight, is the release of deferred school operating funds.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there discussion? Hearing none. Madam Secretary?
Mr. Motts?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Ms. Blevins?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Ms. Bone?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Chair Christiakowski?
Aye.
7 ayes.
All right, everybody put their seatbelts on. We're going to get our reports now. And we're going to start with our county attorney.
I actually am going to make a comment tonight, and I was really sad to see Carol left because I just wanted to thank her. I'm one of the ones who've been around her for a long time, 24 years. We've been in a couple different buildings. We sat next to her for many years, and I tell you, if there was ever an issue that was tough to make or you needed to bounce it off somebody, she was the one to do it to, because she would tell you both sides and then she'd tell you what she thought. But she wasn't really wrong, or she definitely wasn't wrong on what issues to think about. And she saw the big picture, and she's a wonderful person. She would do anything for you, and we're really going to miss her. I know I am, but in case she's watching, she's having trouble sleeping and turned our meeting on. Carol, thanks for everything.
Thank you, sir. Our county administrator.
I have a couple of things, and then I have a Carol comment as well. First off, I wanted to update the board just briefly on the CARES Act money. I want to share with you that, assuming that everything we've ordered shows up as it is supposed to, we will have spent all the CARES money by December 30th. We've been working very carefully with the two towns managers, the finance directors, have all touched base fairly frequently in the last couple of weeks to make sure we were all on the same page moving forward. I can't say enough for the level of cooperation and camaraderie we've had with the two towns during all this as well. They've been very willing to work together and do whatever it takes to make sure we're getting the citizens served to the best degree possible. That CARES Act money included hazard pay for our deputies that we were able to use to address their situation earlier in the year. We've also processed over $370,000 in grants to date, and we still have some additional grants. Those grants are going out into the community to help support various groups and agencies, and I know the towns have been working very diligently on that as well. So we will keep you posted if anything changes on that. I don't know at this point if we're going to see anything additional from the federal government before the end of the year. There's a lot of talk about additional funds being made available in 2021, but we'll wait and see.
Could I stop you right there?
Sure. Before
you move on to your Carol comments?
Sure.
Because I'm just curious with the CARES money. I know it was divided up by formula. Was any of the money between the governments ever had to be moved around to
Yes.
cover things?
The last week or so, we realized that some Christiansburg went through their money a little faster than Blacksburg, and so we have looked at putting all that money back together to continue to move forward with several other things. So it wasn't a hard and fast spend it or lose it. Again, it's been a spirit of cooperation among the three localities and the task force, the New River Task Force. So everybody was willing for a little give and take if there needed to be some to make sure everybody got served appropriately.
That's great. That is cooperation.
Sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you for answering that.
And speaking of the task force, we heard on our call this morning that the vaccines will begin arriving in Montgomery County later this week and first of next week. The first vaccines will be administered next week to first responders and frontline healthcare workers. I do not know the number of vaccines that will be made available, but they will be the first in line to get vaccines. And as that rollout continues in the weeks ahead, we will certainly do a lot of public information through the task force and through the health district to make folks aware of when that may be available for citizens. But first out of the chute will be first responders and frontline healthcare workers. So that is moving forward. Also wanted to mention that we're going to be watching the weather very closely on Wednesday. This one looks like it could be a little bit messy, so we'll make decisions tomorrow afternoon and early Wednesday morning as far as any schedule changes on Wednesday, but we'll have that posted on the website and let folks know as soon as we know what impacts there may be. The last thing I was going to say was Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. But I also want to make a Carol comment as well. I've been here since August 2009, and we've had so many successes in Montgomery County over the last 11 years and prior to my arrival as well. But I can tell you that those successes would not have been possible without Carol Edmonds and her leadership and her guidance on things. Carol and I didn't always agree on things, and that's okay. I have tremendously valued Carol's input. Carol always had a true sense of what she felt was right. And as Marty stated as well, that ability to have open and frank discussion about issues is what makes us a stronger organization. And I have told Angie and I have told other members of the leadership team that folks are going to have to step up to take on that role, because we don't need a lot of folks just shaking their heads and moving forward. We need folks that truly are concerned and care about what's going on in this community and speak up when they have concerns. And Carol was always one to do that. And I will miss her quite a bit as well. It's going to be a lot different in the office come January.
Thank you, sir. All right, we'll go down the list as I have it for the board. First up is Supervisor Biggs.
Well, I've got to speak about Carol too, because, she was here about a year and a half before I got on the board, and so I got to know her. And I just can't say enough about the guidance and advice and the education she has given me as a board member when, especially when I was new and I wanted to find out about so many things that related to budget. And I remember so many times Carol and I going to meetings on a Saturday at the Virginia Tech Vet School or other places trying to figure out how we could get people on board for the Animal Care and Adoption Center. If it weren't for Carol, it wouldn't have happened. It took 22 years, but it did happen, and we're all so proud of it, and it's known across the state as just being an excellent facility. And if you haven't been there and you're listening to this, it's hard to go there now, but you can make appointments to go, and the adoption rate is out of this world. We have saved so many animals because of Carol Edmonds. Also, between our county administrators before Craig came and Clay Goodman had left, Carol took over as county administrator, and you talk about well-qualified. She did an excellent job. I mean, she just, took the ball and ran with it. And I think to sort of sum up Carol, she's sort of the wind beneath people's wings. And I think a lot of us are going to really find that wind a little missing in the future, but we know what her cell phone number is and we know where she lives.
We do.
So if we ever need that win back, we can go get it. And I could go on and on about Carol, but I'm just going to miss her so much. And that's all I have to say on that. And I just hope everyone stays really safe during the holiday period. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Supervisor DeMotts.
I think it's kind of unfair that I have to follow the three people that Carol specifically named as having been here for the majority of the majority of her time. So I will just saying Carol has been a little bit of a workout buddy for me. So we have gotten to bond on that level. I think she's a ton of fun. I think she has created an environment where there are true leaders that were working underneath her that were able to learn from her example. So I look forward to working with Ms. Hill as she steps into her new role, and others within the county that Carol has been able to kind of mentor into leadership positions. I think she leaves us extremely strongly positioned, and her legacy is very much one of dedicated service. As Marty said, Carol always was able to see both sides, and she was not shy about also sharing what her opinion was, and I really value that. She is definitely going to be missed. In addition to that, we're moving into, or we're actually already in the holiday season. So the holidays are going to look a little bit different this year for all of us. Thanksgiving's favorite side was macaroni and cheese for Virginia. And Christmas's favorite side is sweet potato casserole. So I know probably a lot of people will be cooking that up. And really trying to enjoy a different holiday this year with our families at home. So I wish everybody a very happy holiday. I hope that everybody is able to enjoy themselves in spite of a global pandemic, and really make some good memories with friends and family as they can.
Thank you. Supervisor Shepherd.
I have a couple things about Miss Carol. I had a visitor yesterday evening, and it never crossed my mind when he showed up in my driveway. One of the reasons he was there, he said that he wanted to send his regards to Miss Edmonds because he wanted to be here, but he just because of the situation, he wasn't going to come over here. And he said he really appreciated all that Carol did for him when he was on the board, and I'm speaking of Chuck Shorter, and he spoke very highly of her and how smart she was, and I have to agree. Every time I had a question or an issue to talk to Carol about, it's kind of like Marty said, you get both sides in and you get Carol's side, and I really appreciate that. Just like Mr. Mott said, I want to hear what you got to say. Don't just blow me off and shake your head, but I really appreciate getting to know her and work with her this short period of time that I have. I made sweet potato casserole for Thanksgiving, and that was my favorite. So, and I'll probably
Make it again for Christmas.
Yeah. But I just hope everybody has a great Christmas, Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year.
Thank you. Supervisor Blevins.
I'm the probably newest member here. I am. And Carol has been a great mentor for me. I wish her best wishes for the retirement. And she is a firecracker. She will tell you both sides and then tell you how it is, right? And I really appreciate that and her guidance. And she's going to be well missed. And appreciate the dedication and all the years of service that she's given to Montgomery County citizens and, of course, the animal adoption center. That's awesome for that, and I know many families love their adopted pets from that, so that is great legacy for her to leave. I wanted to do a quick shout out to Christiansburg Volunteer Fire Department for their Santa run. That was so exciting. And for the town of Christiansburg to do the reverse parade and just find ways during this pandemic to keep that Christmas and holiday spirit, and it's just so exciting to see all the social media posts of all the kids excited that Santa got to come through their neighborhood. So I appreciate the town, and that was a great opportunity to spread the Christmas cheer. Then I just wanted to wish everybody very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, and just a quick public service announcement that January 1st, the state of Virginia will be a hands-free state. So hands-free, no handheld devices while we drive. So we just want to make sure that we limit all those distractions when we drive.
Thank you. Supervisor King.
You shouldn't remind me, Diaz. I got a flip phone. When I was first elected to this board, my first budget session, I sat at home and I looked at this book and I said, what in the world? Next day, I said, Miss Carol, what about this? A few minutes later, I call her back, what about this? And I know she said, boy, he's going to wear me out. But she always had the answers. If she didn't, she would go get them. And I do want to tell her how much I appreciate what she done for the citizens of Montgomery County, the employees, and this board. I mean, sometimes she wouldn't tell you what you wanted to hear, but it was the truth. And as far as this board here, this is our last meeting of the year. I want to tell each of you how proud I am to be part of this board. We worked well together. Did we agree all the time? No, we didn't. But we still showed respect for each other, and I do appreciate that. The main thing is, my feeling is, we're all 7 of us is here for the citizens of Montgomery County, and we look at the county as a whole. Yes, we got our own districts we got to look after, but I think we do have a discussion about the county as a whole, and I think we all look after the county, because if, what is it, Supervisor Bill Brown used to say, if one section's not working, the whole thing goes down. But I do want to tell each of you how much I appreciate your support. And the staff, I appreciate your support. I mean, if it wasn't for you, this board wouldn't look good at all. Y'all make us all look good. As far as Craig, when your time comes off for Christmas, turn your phone off. This board can wait. That's all I have to say. And Merry Christmas to everyone.
Thank you. Vice Chair Bone.
I'd also like to thank Carol for her efforts, talents, leadership. Clearly, she has had an instrumental role in the county. And signs of a good leader, some of them are mentoring, making sure the succession plan is solid, being ready and willing to be working with every piece of the county so that every piece of the county continues to work very effectively. And I know that Carol has done every bit of that over the years. So, you know, when people say goodbye to someone who's as important as Carol, we don't want to minimize the fact that the leaders that are coming up behind her are pretty phenomenal too. And part of that fact is because Carol was a great leader and paved the way with great people to get the county to a place where we were ready for a transition, and it worked for Carol. So I think that's super fantastic. And I want to also wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy New Year.
All righty. Save the best for last. I want to start off first by thanking you all for making me the chair for this year. It was probably the easiest thing I've probably ever done in my life. Nothing was going on. Nothing happened. So thanks again. Also, somebody else had mentioned the storm coming. I think it was Craig, but please, if you get up in the morning and they say the roads are covered with ice, don't make more work for our sheriff's deputies and town police and state police. Stay home, because you'll wreck for sure. And I think back to that mega storm we had. I think it was back in 2009.
Yep.
It was December 18th.
First year I was here, my wife said, "Where have we moved to?"
Yeah. And I'll never forget, the state police pulled a car out of a snowbank on the interstate. It was, you know, I know you've all seen them. A lot of folks will take a pickup truck and they'll lower it down so it's like scraping the ground. And with 18 inches or 24 inches at the time of snow on the ground, I don't know what this guy was thinking, and neither did the troopers, so they asked him. They said, what are you doing out here tonight with this vehicle? Because there's no way it can handle snow. And he said, I'm going to go visit my girlfriend. She's in the hospital. And they said, oh, what's wrong with her? He says, nothing. I was just going to bring her some supper. From West Virginia.
Oh, okay.
Did you hear that part, Supervisor King?
I heard that.
Okay. Just a little story. My take on Carol, I can sum it up. She's a class act. Very sharp person. Always had time to speak to me. And whenever I had a question for her, I was almost intimidated to ask her because I know that she would stop at nothing to get the answer, and the answer would be thorough. And a lot of times I'll ask questions just to get the immediate response, and that's all I need. Kind of like a 3-year-old, you don't have to explain the world to them. Just tell them they need to eat their peas or something. So, last thing is I wish all of you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And remember, even though we got a vaccine coming, we still got to use some common sense and not spread this virus any more than we have to. And I appreciate our president who started this Operation Warp Speed and got all these companies financed to go after this thing. And now we're looking at 3 vaccines that are going to be coming on board here very shortly. And I think that's very commendable. And that's all I've got. Adjourned.
Good job.